The History of Andy Warhol and Most Important Works. Andy Warhol was an American artist and businessman who revolutionized the art world with his unique and avant-garde style. During his career, he produced a large number of works that reflected his fascination with popular culture and consumerism. In this video, we'll explore Warhol's life and work, from his early days as an artist to his rise to fame and the creation of some of his most important works. Andy Warhol. Andy Warhol was an American artist who became one of the leading exponents of the pop art movement of the 1960s. Born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania in 1928, Warhol grew up in a working-class Slovak immigrant family. From an early age, he showed a great interest in drawing and illustration, and after graduating from high school, he moved to New York to study art. In the 1950s, Warhol began working as a commercial and advertising illustrator, soon becoming known for his distinctive and striking style. However, it was in the 1960s that he achieved worldwide fame as an artist. In 1962, Warhol presented his first solo exhibition at the Ferris Gallery in Los Angeles, where he exhibited his series of Campbell's soup can paintings. Campbell's soup cans became one of Warhol's most iconic works and one of the most recognizable symbols of pop art. The series consisted of 32 identically sized paintings, each depicting a different variety of canned soup. Warhol had taken the idea of repetition and seriality from advertising and applied it to art. In addition to soup cans, Warhol also became famous for his celebrity portraits, including Marilyn Monroe, Elvis Presley, and Elizabeth Taylor. These paintings were also based on repetition and seriality, often featuring bright, bold colors. Warhol was also known for his experimental films, such as Empire and Sleep, which featured long, repetitive shots of moving objects and people. Although these films were not very popular in their day, today they are considered important cinematic works of art. During the 1970s, Warhol became increasingly interested in music and began collaborating with bands such as the Velvet Underground and the Rolling Stones. He also opened his famous studio, The Factory, where he produced a large amount of art and where celebrities and artists of the time met. Despite his success and fame, Warhol's life was also marked by tragedy. In 1968, Warhol was the victim of an assassination attempt by an obsessed admirer, which left him seriously injured. In addition, many of his close friends and associates died prematurely due to the AIDS epidemic in the 1980s. Warhol passed away in 1987 due to complications after gallbladder surgery. Despite his death, his legacy as one of the most influential and innovative artists of the 20th century continues to this day. His works continue to be exhibited in museums and galleries around the world, and his influence can be seen in popular culture and contemporary art. Coca-Cola. The Coca-Cola work of art, created by the American artist Andy Warhol in 1962, is an emblematic piece of the artistic movement known as pop art. The work consists of a serigraphy of the famous Coca-Cola glass bottle, in that the words, Coca-Cola, have been reproduced several times in white letters on a red background. Warhol is known for using everyday objects from American popular culture as subjects for his art, and the Coca-Cola bottle is a perfect example of this. The Coca-Cola artwork is a critique of mass culture and advertising, and of American society's obsession with consumption and branding. In the 1960s, Coca-Cola was one of the most recognizable and popular symbols of American culture, and Warhol used this bottle as a symbol of the homogenization of culture and mass consumerism. Warhol's artwork has become a cultural icon and has been reproduced numerous times, both in the original form and in variations using different colors and designs. The technique used by Warhol in the Coca-Cola artwork is screen printing, a printing technique that involves transferring ink through a mesh stretched over a frame. Warhol became interested in this technique because it allowed him to produce repetitive images quickly and in large numbers, allowing him to create works of art more efficiently. The Coca-Cola artwork is also interesting from an art historical point of view, as it defied the conventions of the time. Warhol's work is an example of art that pushes the boundaries of what counts as art and questions traditional notions of beauty and aesthetics. The Coca-Cola artwork is a critique of mass culture in advertising, but it is also a celebration of the beauty of everyday objects. In short, Andy Warhol's Coca-Cola artwork is an iconic example of the pop art movement and a critique of mass culture and consumerism in American society. The screen printing technique used by Warhol allowed him to produce repetitive images quickly and in large numbers, making him an innovator in the art world. The Coca-Cola artwork challenged the conventions of the time and questioned traditional notions of beauty and aesthetics. Elvis Presley. Andy Warhol's Elvis Presley artwork is a pop art icon and an iconic depiction of the king of rock and roll. Warhol is known for his use of repetition and commercialization in his art, and this piece is no exception. The image of Elvis Presley that Warhol used in this work is one of many photographs taken of the famous singer and actor during his career. Warhol transformed it into a silkscreen showing Elvis in brilliant shades of pink and blue. Warhol used this screen printing technique to produce many of his best-known artworks, using it to create a strong and recognizable image of Elvis. Warhol's artwork was created in 1963, at a time when Elvis was at the height of his career and popular culture was beginning to flourish around the world. The image of Elvis that Warhol used in his work is one of the most iconic of the time and remains a recognizable image today. Warhol's artwork is a critique and celebration of pop culture and consumerism. The repetition of the image of Elvis in the artwork is a critique of the way popular icons are exploited and commercialized for profit. But it's also a celebration of Elvis's popularity and his impact on popular culture. Warhol's artwork has been the subject of many interpretations over the years. For some, it represents Elvis's transition from rebel rock star to establishment icon. To others, it represents pop culture and celebrity obsession. And for others, it's simply a beautiful and compelling image that has stood the test of time. Regardless of interpretation of him, Warhol's artwork remains an iconic representation of Elvis Presley and pop culture in general. His use of repetition and commercialization has influenced visual culture around the world and has left a lasting mark on art history. Cans of Campbell's Soup. Campbell's Soup Cans is one of the most iconic and recognized works of the American artist Andy Warhol. The work, created in 1962, consists of a series of 32 acrylic paintings representing each of the varieties of canned soup produced by the Campbell's brand. The choice of Campbell's soup as the subject of the work may seem strange at first glance, but Warhol was interested in the representation of everyday objects and their relationship to mass culture. At the time, Campbell's canned soup was a popular item in American homes, and Warhol saw it as an opportunity to explore the idea of repetition and seriality in art. The paintings on the soup cans are all the same size and arranged in rows, evoking a sense of mass production and uniformity. Each soup can is depicted on a white background, with no frills or details, highlighting the simplicity of the brand's design. The choice to use acrylic rather than oil paint, and the painting style, which is flat with no visible brush strokes, contributes to creating a uniform and mechanical look to the work. Warhol was interested in the idea of reproducibility, and this is reflected in the way he created his paintings. He used a screen printing process, which allowed for quick and easy reproduction of images to create the templates for the soup cans. In this way, the paintings became a kind of reproducible art object, which challenged the traditional idea of uniqueness and authenticity in art. Warhol's Campbell's soup cans have been interpreted in a number of ways. Some critics have seen the work as an ironic criticism of the consumer society and the triviality of objects in popular culture. Others have argued that the work represents a celebration of popular culture and its democratization of art. Regardless of the interpretation, Warhol's work was undoubtedly revolutionary for its time, challenging traditional art conventions and opening the door to new forms of artistic expression. Today, Warhol's Campbell's soup cans are one of the most famous and iconic works of modern art and can be found in art collections throughout the world. The work has been the subject of countless exhibitions, discussions, and critical analysis, demonstrating its lasting impact on art history. Furthermore, he has inspired many other artists to explore similar themes in his own work, making him a leading example of the power of artistic innovation. Marilyn Monroe. Andy Warhol's Marilyn Monroe artwork is considered one of the most iconic and influential works of the 20th century. Warhol, an American pop artist, created this series of portraits of actress Marilyn Monroe in 1962, shortly after her tragic death. Warhol was known for his distinctive style and his focus on popular culture and American iconography. The series of portraits of Marilyn Monroe became one of his most famous works and is made up of at least 50 images of the actress. Each of these images is nearly identical, but has slight variations in color and saturation, giving the work a sense of repetition and variation simultaneously. Warhol's portraits of Marilyn Monroe were created using the silk screen technique, a printing technique that uses a stencil to apply ink to a surface. Warhol chose this technique to create his work because it allowed him to produce multiple copies of the same image with a uniform appearance. The use of the silkscreen technique also allowed Warhol to produce the images on a large scale, adding to his visual impact. The choice of Marilyn Monroe as the subject for this series of portraits is also significant. Marilyn Monroe was an iconic figure of American pop culture, known for her beauty and her career in Hollywood. Her personal life was also the subject of media attention, making her a highly influential public figure at the time. Warhol's choice to portray Marilyn Monroe as a popular culture icon rather than a historical or political figure was innovative and controversial. Andy Warhol's Marilyn Monroe artwork has been interpreted in many different ways by critics and viewers. Some see it as a critique of American society and the obsession with fame and public image. Others see it as a celebration of beauty and fame. The series of portraits has also been interpreted as a reflection on mortality and the fragility of human life. Regardless of interpretation, Warhol's artwork has left an indelible mark on popular culture and influenced many subsequent artists. The image of Marilyn Monroe in Warhol's work has been used on countless products and advertisements, and has come to symbolize American pop culture as a whole. In short, Andy Warhol's Marilyn Monroe artwork is an iconic piece of pop culture and a masterpiece of modern art. His technique,